Okay, let me share my screen. Sorry. All right. So now we want to make sure that this thing fit all the way across here, and we're just going to get it approximately right. All right. So if I click on this and I say edit to the type, I'm just going to change this 8-foot dimension. What I did, people, is I calculated there was an extra 2 feet left, and 24 divided by 9 is 2.66666. So we're just going to put in here, we're going to put 8 foot 2.667, okay, just for 3 places. And you don't have to worry about that number. Just put 2.667. And I hit OK. And now I'm going to go up here and I'm just going to move this slightly inside the wall, right? And then while that's selected, I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to make sure multiple is selected. And from the midpoint of this, right, I'm just going to copy them down one by one. All right. And we're going to go all the way across our lobby. And that's our final one. And as you can see, it's just touching our wall. So we're okay there. And to look at this in 3D, we can see now that we've got our double T's that are crossing over. I'm not quite sure why these two here are not all the way to the end. Let me see if I can align those in my precast parapet level. If I go to SD, yeah. Let's see. For some reason, it's looking like my beam has gotten shorted. Let's take a look at that. I've got, oh, for some reason that got jumped out. I'm not sure what that is. So let me fix that real quick. I will pause this while I fix it. Well, no, actually, maybe while I'll do it while I'm on here. If I go to a hidden line view and then, or I'm sorry, not hidden line. I want to go to wireframe, and then I'm going to pause this video. So that gets us to where we need to be now with our precast elements. The next thing I want to do really quickly is come back to this section that I cut, and I'm going to go back to wireframe, and I'm going to say now, because I want this to be a lower kind of parapet, I don't want it to be that high above it, I'm going to lower this some. So I've got about 8 inches in there, right? And I'm going to put this insulation and blocking on, and we're going to do that in the detail view. We're not going to try and build the roof up to do that and put a floor layer in there. We're just going to use the detail to do that. That'll be easy. What we're going to do in this instance, so that we can emulate what we're looking like here, right? I'm going to say that I want the top of this wall, I want it to be, if I measure this and I say, this is a foot, right? I'm going to bring this down to 13.6, right? But I got to be careful, people. If I bring that down to 13.6, that's going to drop everything, right? So if I did that, watch what would happen. If I took this down to 13.6, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's just the 6 inches I need. If I do that, watch what happens. Everything drops down, right? I don't want that. So what I have to do, right, I have to change the walls and offset them that height. So I'm going to go back to my 3D view to do this. Sometimes it's just easier to do things in the 3D view. If I hover and hit tab, click, it picks those, and I hold down control and click that wall and that wall right there, right? And once I do that, I can say offset the top a negative 6 inches, right? And now that I've done that, when I go back to this section, there's my 6 inches in there, right? And now I'll be able to kind of emulate what's happening here with these little precast clips. You see how these things can slide and adjust as they need to, because everything's not perfect, right? So, and then you'll see the other welded connection. These are little details you're not going to see in Revit itself, but we're going to pull this detail in so we can do that. So look out for this detail appearing in Blackboard in the next day or so, and we're going to kind of use that detail to help us. I'm going to get it shaped up for you and probably just get it in Revit and get it over to you that way. One way or the other, you'll see this detail pop up and you'll be able to use it. We're not going to try to model all this, and that's the good thing about Revit, people. You don't have to model everything. Um, Now we know our, oh my goodness, looks like my beam pulled out a little here. I'm going to have to fix that. But keep in mind, we don't have to model every single little thing in Revit. That's the beauty of it. Some things we do model, other things we don't model. And because we don't have to model everything, details save us a lot of space. About the last thing that we're probably going to do is we may add a skin on the outside of this. We don't want this just to necessarily be exposed concrete. It could be, but we'll probably add for these three walls, not this back wall, but for these three walls, we'll probably add a material to that. But I'll decide that before Thursday, and then I'll develop that and let you see that. So we're getting down to the end, people. It may not seem like it, but what we're going to start doing is labeling our rooms on the other levels. Remember, all these other levels are similar, so we're only going to have to dimension one of the levels and call the other ones out as similar, which is kind of nice. But I'm going to have you label your room so we can do a room schedule next week at the very end of things, and then we're going to just start dragging things onto sheets. And like I said, there's going to be a few of those videos I produce for you. I don't know that I'm going to have you lay furniture in rooms. That's a little time consuming and unnecessary for what we're doing. I know there's going to be furniture, but I'm not too quite worried about you having to put furniture in all the offices. We'll leave that to the people who run the company, right? We're just the architects. We're designing it. Now, in actuality, a lot of times a owner will have his architect or interior designer do a FFE package, which is a furniture, fixtures, and equipment package, which sometimes is done by the architect, sometimes it's done by the interior designer, and sometimes the owner takes care of it themselves. So again, that's something I don't want you to get too worried about right now. But I think we're almost to the point where we can start wrapping this up. We can put our little site on there. We need to add a couple of little things to this room, and let me show you what I mean by that. If I go back to the first floor and I come back through here and I move this section a little bit, remember I've got this wall in here and I need to do something with that wall, because if I look at a section and I go to that view, it's kind of hard to see because I'm cutting through it. Let me go back and see if I can get this to cooperate. Like if I just cut right through here right now, let's see if I can see it now. Let's see, wireframe. Let's try one more time. I don't really want to cut through the wall, but I guess I'm going to have to for you to see it. Okay, so you see how I've got this area in here where I'm not showing my other wall, but I've got this stuff in here. I probably need to adjust these a little bit back. You know how I pull those back. You'll need to go in and probably pull those back so that they're not all sticking out like this. But the main thing I want you to see is that this wall right here, we're going to have to figure out how this wall here actually interacts with this wall here, right? And with where this column is right now, because there's a beam kind of going through that wall right now. What I mean by that is if I was to create a 3D view, just a camera view right now, right? And I made this a little bigger. How in real life, if we were looking at this and I went to SD, you see how this wall is kind of just getting penetrated by the beam. And although that would happen, we wouldn't just have that wall going all the way to there. That profile of that wall would have to change some. So we'll probably try and get back and change that profile of the wall, but you can see how our columns are holding up, and we've got our 3D view, not our 3D view, but we've got our our double T showing through here, and we're going to drop a ceiling in here so that, you know, we don't necessarily have to see that. But again, I'm not too critically worried about this now. We're coming to the end, and we got to the point where we're going to skip some things and just let them be, and then some other things we're going to get in so that our drawing package looks semi-complete. Okay. um, I'm not quite sure why my lobby isn't enclosed right now. I'll need to look at that, but I'll look at that and I'll let you know what's going on with that before Thursday. But other than that, I think we've gotten where we need to be. We got this little precast element of our building taken care of now, and hopefully we'll move on to our next couple of parts. We've got to add an overhead door to this area here. We'll do that on Thursday, and we've got to place a sprinkler room in here as well, because that's the one mechanical space that we don't have lined out in the other part of the building. But we should be coming down to the end of it, and we can again label the rest of our rooms, get things dropped on sheets, and get our sheets set up. And we'll start working on that stuff come this Thursday. So have a good rest of the day. Try and make sure you're caught up so that we can start in a good place on Thursday. Okay.